Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mobile Weekly / Mobile Q&A, where you go over all latest news that happened during the week of mobile and tech and answer your questions live. If you have a question you want to ask, just ask it in the comment section down below and I will answer it before the end of the show. Alright guys, so we have not as much news today, but just going to be talking about some stuff. As always, if you do need any help with your tech, let me know in the comment section. I feel like a lot of the comments recently have been like tech you're planning on buying, stuff you're trying to look at. So if you have any questions about that, let me know in the comment section and I will get to it before the end of the show. Alright, let's get started with the first bit of news. And that is the Pixel tablet has leaked, and we kind of get an idea of everything that it has inside of it. So first off, the big thing about this tablet is that it is going to have like a docking station that makes it into a full-on Google Home setup. And I love this idea because I have Google Home screens. I have one right next to me. I have the big one in the living room and a couple others in the house. And I am a big fan of always having a Google Assistant around, being able to use it as you need to. So that is one thing that I definitely am happy that we're kind of getting more of right now. But I will say that it really is interesting to see some of the specs. So let's go through them. First off, it looks like it will be around the $500 to $600 price point. If I had to guess, it will be $500 maybe without the dock and then $600 with the dock. We will have to wait and see for the exact pricing later this week. It is going to be announced on the, oh man, I just forgot if it's the 11th or the 10th. I think Google's I/O is the 10th and then something else is the 11th. There's a lot of announcements this week. I think Sony cameras are going to have an announcement on the 11th. I think that's the one. Or sorry, Sony smartphone is going to be announced on the 11th. No one's talking to you, Google. Speaking of the Google Assistant I have here, stop it. So overall with stop. Just, I mean, you know, like, what's up, Google? All right. I was just like, did I set it off again? All right. So that's going to be one thing, that it's going to be probably about $600. My guess is that's going to be with the dock. At least I hope it is, just because it makes sense to do it around that price point. For instance, the new OnePlus Pad just came out at $500. And I think if you're entering into the Android market and aren't trying to be a Pro series to compete with Samsung's Pro series, I think that's a good kind of way to go about it. That being said, we do have another thing, and that is it will have up to 12 hours of video live streaming. So pretty good overall battery life, and that is to be considered too when you think about the fact that it will come with a LCD display instead of an OLED display. This is one thing that kind of disappointed me a little bit, just because I'm kind of like, why don't we have OLED displays on every Android tablet by now? Like, especially at a $500 price point. I just don't see there's a reason not to put an OLED display on there. Like, we've come so far for so long, and every Android has an OLED display that's basically over a $500 price point because it's standard now. Why is it that tablets aren't? And the funniest part about that, of course, is that iPads are still not OLED. So yeah, I really think that that's an advantage that all Android tablets should have, and it's still only Samsung tablets that do have it. And Samsung isn't the only one that makes tablet displays. LG makes them, other companies do make it, so it's open and available, but they're just not doing it. So it is going to have the Tensor 2 chip, 8 gigs of RAM, which that's the only kind of thing I wish it had a little bit more RAM. The Tensor G2, great, fine processor. I still argue with a lot of people about it. They're like, oh, why isn't the Fold going to have, you know, the G3? I'm like, I have never had the G2 stutter on me, that CPU, so I don't care. If you did take a look at our recent Sony video, that one had a Snapdragon 888, so technically it was even an older one because it's a 2-year-old processor. That phone is great. I've never had any issues with it. We aren't really getting more powerful or more speedy processors really at this point. It's just very small little upgrades. They're like 10 to 15% in actuality of usage for everyday people. But, you know, they'll claim all these statistics in certain avenues, but really it's just not that much anymore. The other thing that you're going to have is going to be quad speakers, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, so all that good stuff in terms of it. This is what it'll be like, and as you can see, it'll be magnetically connected, docked, and it's going to plug in. So it looks pretty much exactly like a Google Home Max, which I'm a fan of. I'm very curious on which one do you guys like more, because I typically like the look of like a home device to be white. I just think white kind of goes more with more walls in the house. You know, it just seems to go better. But I've never been a fan of white bezels, which if you get the white one, you get the white bezels. Now, I do think aesthetically pleasing, it goes better to do all white that way. But I don't know. I've always been, I don't know. I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts? White bezels or black bezels for the Pixel tablet? Which one do you think I should get, and which one would you get if you had to buy one? Right now, I'm leaning towards the white. I don't see this as a tablet that I'm really going to take out with me that much. I see this as a home tablet. I think this will be like literally a tablet that's at home all the time, and when we need to put it away, boom, dock it, good. That's what I think it's going to be like, but I'm curious on what you guys think. All right. And yep, that was the pricing. So it looks like it will be, like I said, $600 with the dock is what it's looking like, but we'll have to wait till this week to find out exactly. All right. And it should be launching in June as well. So June 20th is the time it's predicted right now. So we'll have to wait and see if that's the actual time. All right. In other news, we also have a new dynamic island coming to iPhones, and it looks smaller than before. So this is the new dynamic island for the iPhone Pro Max. So yeah, at least in the Pro Max, it looks like it will be a smaller, shorter one in terms of it. It's not going to go all the way around in terms of how it will look. We'll have to wait and see, though, because it's kind of curious that it's like this, and will they still not have the continuous part throughout? Like, I'm very just curious to see how this is going to turn up, because I thought that was one of the biggest things. The other thing that this is going to have is even thinner bezels than before. I don't really care, but, you know, if a couple of millimeters makes you happy to have less bezels, then it will have less. But already, I don't think the iPhone had big bezels, with the exception of, like, I remember I really had an issue with the iPhone XR, I think it was, because that was a $1,000 phone that had the bezels of like a $200 phone. Like, it had some chonky bezels. Like I expect, like, you know, thicker bezels on this boy, right? This one is the Galaxy A54. This one I expected to have, like, look at that, a bigger bezel right there. That is a big little bezel, and you expect that for a, you know, sub $500 smartphone. But when you get to the $1,000 or even above $600, really, you don't expect to have thick bezels. It just, you know, you don't expect it. But whether it's a couple of millimeters off, I don't care that much. I've said this in the Pixel Fold about their big bezels. I don't care. So we'll have to wait and see how this one goes. But yeah, the other rumor is that Apple is even going to have an even bigger sensor on their main camera, getting closer to, if not getting that 1-inch sensor. That is also currently a rumor on the Pixel 8 Pro. That one, I would very much so be interested if they're going to go that route. If they do, I will honestly say that if the Pixel 8 Pro gets a 1-inch sensor like the one that I just used on the Sony, it will be a game-changing in terms of smartphone camera. Same with Apple. If they get that sensor, I think it's going to be really big. It's curious to see because, you know, Samsung went the opposite route. They didn't use the bigger sensor. They have gotten bigger sensors over the year, don't get me wrong, but they went the 200 megapixel route, which gives its pros and cons to it. I really do prefer the bigger 1-inch sensor overall after spending my time with Sony. But the thing that Sony I don't think does as good on their phones is being able to adapt photos automatically. Sony is a very manual process, and it's great for that quality. I'm literally using a Sony camera right now that I've manually tuned for this video. So it is good in certain scenarios, but it's not good in all scenarios. So for that reason, I would just say that I'm curious to see if you're going to have a 1-inch sensor with a computational photography background of either Apple or Google. That's going to be a big change. That's going to be a legit big change, like a noticeable difference that everyone would be able to tell and worth the upgrade. So very curious to see if both or if one does a 1-inch sensor this year, because getting that much data with the high-end computational photography they do will be really good. Now, I will say that it will be way better 6 months from the release. So what happens when companies do get this new camera, such as iPhone and Samsung went through this, Pixel went through this as well. When you get a new sensor, it takes about 6 months of updates, or 6 months of data really, to make the update. So 3 months of data, then 3 months of working on the update to make it better. All of this said, when you combine these two, that is what gives you the real benefit. It's why sometimes for the first couple of months, like the Pixel 6 Pro, or the Pixel 5 Pro took better photos than the Pixel 6 Pro for a bit of time, and that's because the Pixel 6 Pro had a new sensor. It was different, and it took time for it to adapt and make it better quality, even though it was, I believe, a 48 megapixel camera compared to 12. It just took time for that bigger sensor for Google's computational photography to adapt to it. So that being said, it's the same thing that's going to happen. Once they get to a 1-inch sensor, it's going to be way more data, way more stuff that they are not used to up converting and changing. So it will take time. But that is, by the way, why it was such a huge difference going from the Pixel 6 Pro versus Pixel 7 Pro, was because the 7 Pro was created with a year's worth of data from the 6 Pro that they were able to fine tune on the camera, so it was much better at the end. So that's why, like, what I say, if they have a 1-inch sensor, it'll be a game changer. It might not be at launch day, but it definitely will be in 6 months' time. All right, and HTC made a Samsung. I kid, but this phone, like, if you didn't have HTC on here, who wouldn't think it was a Samsung? Like, it looks like a Samsung. But yeah, so HTC is making a new phone, the HU23 Pro. And essentially this is to not a flagship per se, but closer to a flagship than they've had in years. The last one was the U22, which was a while ago. I think we had talked about it. I forgot. I think it was like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, a while back. But the whole idea behind this is that this is going to have more modern stuff. So you're going to have a Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. So again, not the latest processor, more of a upper mid-range one. You're going to have a 108 megapixel sensor. So the same sensor that Samsung used on the S22 and older will be on this one. So you're going to have a really good sensor. You're going to have a 3.5 headphone jack. HTC's keeping with that tradition, which is kind of cool. And a 4,600 milliamp battery. It's going to be an LCD display. Again, we were just talking about that LCD display on there. And you can see, compared to the last one, the Desire 21 Pro, compared to the U23, a lot brighter. Definitely, you can see that huge brightness difference. Although this one has a bit of a bigger camera. That can be good because the selfie camera will probably be better. Oh yeah, 32 megapixel selfie camera. Which HTC, to be fair, always had a good selfie typically on there. Not always the widest one. They went back and forth on that. One year they went wider, one year they went less wide, so it was back and forth on it. But yeah, very curious to see how it will be when it comes out, if it does come out, and what markets will it hit. Will it just be, a European phone as some of the past HTCs have been, or will it come back home? I think you can definitely bet on countries like Taiwan and India, And to do is do a quick file share. Essentially, if you know Apple's what is it? What do they call theirs? AirDrop, or the old school version, Android Droid Drop, or I forgot what is it, DroidAir. I don't know. There was an old one that was like a third party app that was like since the beginning of Android. Like I felt like it was like 2009, 2010 when it came out. It was very early on. But same kind of concept. The idea behind it is you can go here and download it and basically install it on your computer, and you can just quickly share back and forth between your PC and your Android phone. We'll do a video on this to make it easier for you guys, but it's a really easy way to share between your devices. Essentially what it does is just makes your PC discoverable to Android. And yeah, it's a beta, so it might not work perfectly, but it is going to work fairly well. It does not work on ARM devices, so just know that this is for Windows. But like most Windows products, this is a program, which means it's not an app. Those are two different things. And essentially, it does not work for the standard, or sorry, not the standard. It only works for standard Windows, not ARM-based Windows. So just know that going into it. But yeah, it's cool. It's simple. It's easy. It's something that I've had for a long time because Samsung phones have this thing called Link Share, and they've had all these other things for it. But yeah, so this just makes it quick and easy to be able to do. And we've had it on Chromebooks for a long time, but having it on PCs is a lot more valuable. Just so if I want to, I can quickly share it and I don't have to plug in my USB directly in order to share stuff. Sometimes it's just quicker to find products on the phone side instead of having to plug in and going through the file manager. So I like this for that reason, probably most of all. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to your questions. Again, if you have a question you want to ask, just go ahead and ask it in the comments section down below, and I'll answer it before the end of the show. All right. Hope you had a lovely May the 4th and Cinco de Mayo. Yes, I did. I tried to get a picture of me and my son with these Latino Heat shirts for Cinco de Mayo. Did not work out that well. He did not want to take a photo. It pains me sometimes that my son can be so shy. I'm like, you're my son. You can't be shy. But no, it was very cute. And yeah, we had fun. Didn't do much to it. I played for May the 4th. They did have this new Star Wars cartoon that came out on Disney Plus. So I did play that for him. And it kept his attention, you know, starting him on the path. So happy about that. But yeah, so did that, and not too much else. I'm trying to think of anything else I did. I did yesterday, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy. Really good movie, great ending to it. I knew that they had to wrap it up because James Gunn is obviously leaving. And, you know, not every character will stay, kind of thing like that. So we'll have to wait and see where they go. But despite what she said, if there's one character that I hope also is one of the few that could return, I hope Gamora does return. I want to see that finish. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But overall, very emotional. I would say almost every single person I went with cried. So yeah, be ready for it. For when you watch that movie. But I definitely recommend it. It's a one of, if not the best movies. One of the best movies. I would say it's top 2 or top 3. I like Doctor Strange more than most people. So if I were to say all of the movies since you know, what was it? I was gonna say Civil War. Since not Infinity War, Endgame. Since Endgame, I would say for me it's been the Spider-Man one, which was No Way Home. Yeah, No Way Home. Doctor Strange, and then this one. All good quality. I liked all three, but again, I like Doctor Strange more than most. So I would say if you didn't like Doctor Strange and it's out there kind of stuff, this might be better than Doctor Strange for you. But yeah, also go ahead and see the Christmas special. Not everyone knew that they did have a Christmas special. It's not very important, but I think it's probably still probably the best Guardians thing that's ever come out. Like I loved the Christmas special. It was really awesome. I wonder if Google Tablet will have support a pen. It does not look like it, honestly, but I don't think that's a really important thing for this tablet. This tablet is legit made to kind of replace Google Homes or Nest Hubs. So I don't really see it as a very important thing. I don't even care if they don't have a keyboard setup for it, to be quite honest. I think this is a home tablet more than a travel tablet. And I think it will do very well in that segment. I don't think it's not meant to compete with my Samsung Galaxy tablet, which is a media heavyweight because of its amazing display and amazing battery life. Like, there is nothing, not an iPad, nothing that would replace that tablet for me, just because of the fact that it is better. The Samsung Galaxy Tab, what is it? Ultra. I forget what I think it's Ultra 14, whatever. It's like a 14.5-inch display. It is the best media device, period. Like, period. That tablet has an OLED display, over 12-hour battery life in my testing. I think it can get up to 15. I tend to push it a little bit harder, obviously. It has, yeah, just amazing display, extremely lightweight. There is no better device out there on the market for media consumption, period. Like, just nothing out there better in terms of speakers, screen quality, performance, like any of that stuff. There's nothing on the market better than it. Because you can say, well, there are plenty of laptops that have better displays than that. Yes, true, and those will die in about 4 hours that have better displays than that. I mean, again, it's a 1440p display with 120 hertz. So it's like, it really is just, I would say, there's nothing questionable about that statement. But yeah, it's just one of the things that I truly have believed with that, which is why I don't see the new Samsung Galaxy tablet being better than this one, like the Tab 9 that's coming. Or wait, yeah, the Tab 9. I'm like, which tablet do I have now? I've had every single Samsung tablet, and I forget the names of all of them. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. It's an interesting decision. Too bad they don't have a green tablet. Yeah, I know, right? I love my S9. I'm using my Galaxy S9. Nice, Ben. Glad you like it. Let's see. Hello, I have an S22 Ultra issue. Is my Google Play Store get an app called, says Calm Relax? How do I delete it? I have tried everything. Need help. Okay. Is that on my I get an app that says Calm and Relax. Okay, so you have this app on your phone is what you're saying, right? So you have this app on your phone, and what you, just take all this away. So you have this app on your phone, and so say whatever the app is, right? So the first thing I would do is this. I would hold it down, and then this will pop up. And then hit the little eye icon at the top right here. Okay? Hit the little eye icon. And then from here, you should see this screen. So click uninstall right there once you're on the app, and that should be fine. You might need to hit force close first. And if it has any permissions, you might need to take away permissions. So if it's not allowing you to delete it, it might have some permissions that it installed itself. So take those permissions away. But that should get you, overall good. If not, let me know and I can see what else. All right. Hey Ricky, I'm a TV cameraman and I use my Asus ZenBook Pro 14 OLED dual screen, okay, as a monitor for my output of my TV camera, which has HDMI, BC, and ID ops. How would I archive this? So this, as a monitor. So you're getting input on that monitor for your stuff. So really what you would need to do is just record the screen, essentially. So any screen recording app should be able to do that. For instance, I use something that I'm using to stream with right now called XSplit. XSplit is a streaming service. It's probably a little overkill for what you need, kind of thing like that. But I can capture a part of my screen like I do when I share this display, right? So when I click this button over here and I share this display, this display, this is on my screen. So I'm literally just showing my screen. But I'm streaming right now. I could instead, maximize this screen over here and record just this screen instead of streaming. I could record. So that is a form of screen capturing, but essentially all you need to do is capture the second display, and that should take in what you're having. Now, if it is a copyrighted thing, it might stop you from being able to do that. There are programs that can get around it, but I mean, not legally and all yada yada yada. By which I mean I can't talk about it. So yeah, but that if the monitor is essentially outputting what you're taking in, which is what it sounds. That's interesting too. I didn't know it could do that. But yeah, if it's displaying what is being shown on that screen and you want to archive it, you can just screen record it and that will be it. Yeah. Are you using a capture card to get especially SDI? But yeah, that's the way to do it. All right. My S9 is like an iPhone 10. My S10, it's like a iPhone 11. Did Samsung copy Apple in their phones? They both have copied each other at certain things. But neither side ever usually acknowledges that. Like, I'll never forget, and I've said this plenty of times, when one of my friends was in line for an Apple Watch for her job, and she had to get an Apple Watch to test it out, right? And she was wearing like the Galaxy or the Gear 3, so it was the Samsung's third smartwatch, and she was wearing it at the time. And Apple finally released their watch. Like, it had been built up for a long time. People expected it to happen, but finally did. And two people in line were having a conversation, and they said one to another was like, "Oh, watch! Now Samsung's gonna come out with a watch and copy Apple." She was literally wearing the third Samsung watch that had already come out. It was the third year plus that it had come out. So you don't always get recognition on that. Now, in terms of the very first phone, it is a debatable thing because of the fact that Apple launched their phone, or announced their phone rather, at the beginning of January of 2008. I want to say it was 2008. Yeah, I think it was 2008. 2008 is when they announced their iPhone, and Samsung's phone that was very similar to it came out after that phone. that announcement for that phone came out after. However, since then, Samsung has shown copyright that they basically had already shown a phone with a similar design before Apple came out with theirs. So that kind of like absolved it of it. But at the same time, the originator of that design is, by most people's accounts, considered to be the LG Prada, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the first one, or maybe I'm confusing my history now. It's been a long time, obviously, since I talked about all this kind of stuff. But I think it was LG Prada that basically was the first one that was a touchscreen phone, and it had a grid of apps. And that was a year before the iPhone. Now, this wasn't Android or anything like that. It was like their own software, so it wasn't nearly as intuitive, as good, or anything like that. I still would say Apple's greatest contribution to smartphones and tablets was not that they made it, because they didn't make either one, right? There was tablets before iPads, and there was smartphones before Apple. What Apple did with both of those categories that they always deserve humongous credit for is that both of those categories, both smartphones and tablets that existed before Apple, were directed to B&B. So smartphones before then were directed to business consumers, Blackberries, Windows phones that were more like PDAs, for anyone that remembers those. Those were the ones that were basically considered, business. Same with tablets. They were very business customers. People that went out and installed wiring, did that kind of stuff, had tough tablets before Android, before Apple. But what Apple did was they took those technologies and they made it consumer driven. And that, it went to the races with that kind of simplification. So that is what Apple will always deserve credit for. What Samsung, I would say more than anything, deserves credit for is pushing Apple and making Apple get a lot of features. But it goes back and forth. Like, Apple having a lot of features did come from Android. And you could see that like every iOS update typically will have something that has been on Android typically from before. Even like, the whole debate of Android having a search assistant a long time ago that you could ask questions to, but then Apple making it Siri. And then by that, Google followed and did Google Assistant. So they go back and forth. Android had split screen a long time ago. iPads have split screen, but like the new rumor on the next iOS update is that iPhones might finally get split screen, which has been a part of Android forever. So yeah, it's a lot of different things back and forth, but they both take things from each other. They always have, and that's good because it's competition. And every time someone does something, it shows the other one that people wanted. So yeah, it's really always that kind of thing. Like Apple will eventually come out with a foldable, which people will argue is a copy of what Samsung did. Will people remember that? No, maybe. They might think like, oh, well, Apple created foldables, especially iPhone users. They might say that, right? Because if you're locked into one of the ecosystems, you don't always look at what the other one is doing. And that's, I think, a lot of the division is that most people, 40% of people go one way, 40% of people go the other way. 20% of people are the only ones that will go back and forth between the two. But like if you're an Android person, you'll usually stay an Android person. If you're an iPhone person, you'll usually stay an iPhone person. It's very rare that you have people that go back and forth because it's both ecosystems try to lock you in. Did stream drop for a second? Oh, we're back. Oh, I didn't know the stream dropped. Hopefully we're okay. Sorry, I just saw that the stream had dropped at one point. Yeah, hopefully we're good though. All right. Let's see. I don't know when the stream dropped. I don't know when. Samsung makes the best Android tablets. Yeah, I would say so. When's the S9 coming? So the S9 tablet are going to be coming with the foldable. So that'll be coming. We're hearing rumors that it's going to be earlier August now, but we'll have to wait and see. Some rumors are saying that LG is going to have, LG. I saw LG Prada in the chat. Some people are saying that Samsung might have the event at the end of July instead of the beginning of August, which would be a change. I hope not, because I will not be in town that week. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm very excited to see how that will go. Let's see. My uncle's wife had a product. Cool. Okay, I have a problem. I have a Samsung, and every time I swipe from the left, my screen, left side of my screen, my recent tasks come up. I want it to stop. I cannot figure out how to turn it off. Okay, it's kind of hard to figure that out. First of all, do you have any app that might be doing that? Such as, like, if you go into your one, did you download Good Lock? That's one question I have for you. Two, do you have the oh god, what is that app? What is this called? Trying to see what this one's called. What is the little dock on the right side? I forget what it's called. Let's see. Edge panels. Do you have edge panels on? Either one of those might be doing that. So see if you either have edge panels on. That might be it. And then the other one could be an app you either downloaded or Samsung's Good Lock, where you can customize depending on how you swipe back what comes up. So let me know if one of those is it. If not, I'm not sure what that would be. Yeah, because it's definitely like a UI change, so I'm not sure. Those would be the top things off the top of my head. Also, MP3 players. Apple made those more popular. Yes, but that was kind of more of an interesting thing. Apple stole the iTunes software from Creative Labs, and got sued for it, but then settled out of court, so you'd never really heard about it. So that was a little bit different how they got popular on that one. But yeah, no, that was marketing, which I've always said, like, when people ask me, like, what's the best tech company, in the world, right? What's the best tech company? It's hard to answer that because the best tech companies aren't tech companies. Apple is a marketing company that sells tech. Samsung is a manufacturing company that sells tech. Google is an advertising company that sells tech. All of these are considered one of the top 3 in tech, but none of them are actually tech companies. They just sell tech. That's the big difference, is that, those are typically on everyone's top 3. You can argue Amazon or Facebook or something like that to be added in there. Facebook is the same thing. It's an advertising company that does social media tech, and Amazon is a shipping company that does, or more accurately, subscription company that sells everything, including tech. And yeah, but that's kind of, for the most part, it. Let's see. Sorry, Ricky, my predictive text came back crazy typos. Basically, I want to display my TV camera's output on my Asus Duo Pro 14. So you want to display the output, then you just need a capture card. That's all you need. A capture card. You can get one like the Elgato's. Do I have that here? Let me see. Nope. Nope, don't know where my capture card is. But oh wait, hold on. Nope, don't know where it is. All right, but yes, a capture card is all you need. Let's just find you one real quick to help out. But yeah, a capture card will give that output, and then you could just display it on the bottom screen, and you're good. So let's go capture card. And you can, I mean, there's so many different ones and ways you can go about this depending on what quality you want. And there are a lot of brands, just a lot of brands. Some are cheaper, just know that going in. What I would typically recommend, just because of their quality and because I know they're good, is Elgato. I'm trying to see if... Let me just see. I don't think you need 4K. You might. But I would say the standard 1080p one should be fine. But I do not see it with a quick search. Maybe they discontinued it and maybe this is the cheapest one now. You don't probably need this. Maybe you do, by all means. But this is an example of a really good capture card. They won't stutter. They won't have any issues or anything like that. But this is going to be a good one that you can use. There are plenty of different ones. Let me look up the one you use, Rudy. So you use an Elgato HDX. I had like the 60. So yeah, you have a very nice one. 1080p 60, very, very good quality one. So yeah, there's lots of different models out there. This one is even higher end the last one because it can capture HDR. The last one couldn't. And it even has variable refresh rate and 4K. Yeah, so this is, I would say this is really good for gaming specifically, just to be able to capture all the color, which is what Rudy does. So really good for that. Obviously even more, so it depends on what you need and how good you need. But this would be another one if you need higher quality, which your camera, since it has an SDI, I'm pretty sure is a higher quality. So yeah. All right, hopefully that helps. Let's see. I think netbooks should make a comeback. Tech is hater now. I think netbooks, what they have become are Windows on ARM. I think that is your new netbooks, really, because Windows on ARM is kind of what a netbook was. It's a small portable computer. It's not 10-inch, mind you. It's not that small, but yeah, it really is. It really is. I would say Windows on ARM is the more recent version of it. That's the best thing I would say. That like, yeah, you see, well, actually, isn't there one that from Lenovo, I think, it's kind of like the perfect example of one. What the heck is it called? Windows ARM Lenovo. So this is for sure a little bit more expensive than what I was thinking of, but let me see. So these are two examples. You have this one, which is a Galaxy Go. It has a Qualcomm processor. So this is an ARM-based computer, which means that it doesn't really run Windows programs. It only runs Windows apps. So So if it's not on the Windows Store, it's not going to be able to run it. So this is essentially what a netbook was, because the netbook couldn't do that much. Now this is a 14-inch. Netbooks used to be 10 inches and 12 inches. So smaller. But this is the closest I would say, this one right here, is the closest I would say to a modern day netbook. And you can see, although it's $500 here, you can get an open box for like $250. But this is what I would call, and here's an older one. Oh no, that's a Chromebook. But yeah, so this one is a ARM-based one. It's the latest gen ARM-based, currently on the market. An OLED one, so better screen than a netbook ever had, because I remember those netbook displays. And 13.3 inch. So this is effectively, oh wait, this is Chromebook. They had, I know they had a version of this. Lenovo did have a version of this with Windows. Let's see. PC laptops. I know they had one. Maybe it's new and or Best Buy doesn't carry it, I guess. Could be too. But they had a new Duet version where it was a PC based, and it was basically an ARM processor kind of thing. Yeah, I was thinking more like an 11-inch, nicer specs. Well, netbooks never had nicer specs, though. Netbooks would be like an ARM processor, because netbooks never were. They were Pentium and Celeron processors. Essentially, what you found on early Chromebooks. Chromebooks essentially replaced netbooks, because, like netbooks, the idea behind a netbook was that it was made for internet browsing, Word documents, and that was it. Like, you could not do anything else on a netbook besides that. Mainly really for internet, as it was. Like, that's the idea behind netbooks, was that they were internet based laptops, and that you wouldn't do anything else on that. So yeah. Let's see. I'm curious about something. Wait, I feel like I missed something. Oh wait, David. It's not edge panels. I've tried everything, even Google search. I can't get an answer on how to shut it off. When I swipe from the left side of the screen, recent apps pop up. The problem I have is it messes with screenshots when you swipe across the screen, and it gets in the way every time. Oh, you're doing a screenshot like this. You're doing the old swipe screenshot. Got it. Okay. So you were able to run on what netbook were you able to run Photoshop on? Because I was at Circuit City. That's how old netbooks are. I was at Circuit City when netbooks were really the hot thing. And like, I literally, almost every single one of them would freeze when trying to do too many tabs and Word at the same time. So I don't know how you got Photoshop on there. And like, it had to be an old CS version or something. Like, I can't imagine that. That's crazy, Rudy. But what was I saying? All right, so David, the other things I could say is check accessibility. There are certain accessibility things that would make that happen. Now, you've already said, and I'm trusting you check this, that you said it wasn't something else. So I'm guessing what you meant was that it's not going to be that it wasn't what did I say earlier? Good luck. You don't have good luck on your phone, because that could cause exactly what you're telling me. So the other thing that I would check is display. The other thing I would check is if you do a search on your settings, right? If you do a search on your settings for appear on top or on top, this tells you every app that has access to appear on top, which is what the program would need if it's a third-party program and not something that you if it's something that was installed by you or somehow installed without your permission. The only way it could do that is if it has the peer on top thing. So I would start going through those and turning certain ones off. Now be careful not to turn anything off that is obviously comes with the device, like continuity service or configuration updates. Those are built-in things. Bluetooth agent. Those are built-in things that need to stay on. But if it's something that really, like, I do not know what this is or something like that, then maybe you could take it off. But just be careful on which ones you take off so that you don't have issues with it. You can always turn it back on here now that you know about this, but that is something else that might be able to help. All right. Let's see. I'm curious about something. Why did the Galaxy Note 7 battery blow up? So long and short of it, essentially what happened with that phone was that in batteries they have a positive and a negative charge, right? You know that even from a basic like Duracell or Energizer battery, there's a positive part at the top and a negative part at the bottom. The problem with batteries is those two parts should never touch themselves. This is a very simplified version, of course, of what I'm telling you. So what happened was the layer between them in the battery of that phone was too thin. The reason why it was too thin is because they were pushing the boundaries of a thinner phone with a bigger battery. They had a lot of pressure to do it, and they went too far. By the way, Samsung has made batteries for iPhones. If you ever get an argument with oh, that would never happen to an iPhone, I'm like, actually, they've made their batteries in the past. I don't know if currently, to be honest, I don't know, although I wouldn't put it past it, but they've made their batteries in the past. So it's not that it was only Samsung that ever did it. I don't think even to say that it would have been a huge thing for it to have stayed. I look, one is too much, right? One explosion is too much. But the thing about it is that out of, I think it was something like, it's so long ago, I don't remember all this stuff anymore. I think it was something like out of 1 million units, there was a reported of 5 of them catching fire and all that kind of stuff and all that. Now, statistically, that's not that bad. Public relations, that's a huge problem, right? But there was so many out there. I literally had it on my honeymoon when the recall happened. I had my Note 7 on my honeymoon, took amazing photos, took amazing videos. Every piece of content that I upload, well, with the exception of a 360 camera, I uploaded from my honeymoon, which, was great photos, great videos, all these magical, beautiful things, was from the Note 7. And I still gave it phone of the year that year because it was still like the Note 7 was better than every other phone that year. It pained me to go back to the S series, I remember. But yeah. So was it the right move PR wise? Probably. Should they have actually re-released it sooner and just changed out the battery? Yes. They did do that, by the way. They called it the Note 7 Fan Edition. Or I think it was just called the Note Fan Edition. They didn't even want to call it Note 7 Fan Edition. I think they called it the Note Fan Edition, but that didn't come out till January that year after, or February that year after. So it took a little bit too much time for them to recoup that. But yeah. So which one would you get? The Lenovo Yoga 9i or the Samsung Galaxy Tab Ultra? Wait, hold on. Which one's this one? Okay, so this is an actual laptop. I mean, it depends on what you want. Because in terms of productivity, this laptop will be much better. In terms of media consumption, this is only a 1080p laptop. It's IPS. It's not what do you call it? Wait, can I customize this or no? No, it looks like it only has one model right now. So if I just go to this one, right? If I just go to this page where this one is, it's 2-in-1 laptop. Great. I think if you want to be productive, do, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, have a desktop web browser, then this is going to be a much better one for those purposes. However, if you just want to watch media and rarely type a document, rarely do an Excel spreadsheet, rarely do any of that kind of stuff, and are fine with the Android-based versions of those things, then yeah, the other one is better. The Samsung is better for that. This one has a 14-inch, so it's an 11th gen processor. So right away, I will tell you, this is not worth this price at all. I would not recommend this one. There are better out there than this. Because you should be getting a 12th gen or a 13th gen compared to this price. Like, yeah, it's not worth it at all. I'll tell you that right now. You can definitely get a 12th gen or a 13th gen for this price, if not less. This has a 1080p display, so it's nothing special in terms of resolution for it. It's IPS, so it's going to be sharp, good quality, but it's only 400 nits of brightness. The tablet is over, I think it was over 800 nits of brightness, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, and then this one has a good battery life, don't get me wrong, but the 12th gen and especially the 13th gen had a much better battery life than the 11th gen did for CPUs. So like your 13th gen would be much better. 8 gigs of RAM isn't enough for most people. So I would say if it doesn't have an open RAM slot, there are better Lenovo's than this. There are better laptops than this, is what I'm saying. Kind of. So yeah. There you go. Oh, are you talking about the Yoga Eye? Hold on. Are you talking about this one? This the dual screen one? Where is that one? It was in the picture. Where is... I'm pretty sure... Yeah, this... Where the heck is it? Isn't that called the Slim, though? I literally just saw this one. Here it is. Oh, Yoga Book Eye. So that's the difference. That's why I wasn't finding it. The Yoga Book Eye. So I got to see this one at CES. And it is amazingly beautiful. Amazingly beautiful. No doubt about it. Would this be considered a 2-in-1? Where is it though? Yoga Book Eye. 9i. I don't think this is... I'm trying to see if this is out yet because I do not see... There it is. Okay. Available soon. That's why I couldn't find it, because it's not out yet. Okay. It's not out yet. But yeah, this is... I mean, one, this is going to be a lot more expensive. A lot more expensive. Just because it's a new technology. Now, was it beautiful looking? Yes. I saw this in person. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved how thin it was. I loved just the capabilities of it. It really depends on what you're using it for. Because would this be great for someone like me that does editing? Yes. I would love this because I would have this keyboard. I always use an external mouse anyway, so I don't care about the trackpad. And I would have, my visual up here and all my editing stuff down here. Or I could even have, the visual in here, and then just be getting folders and files and moving them over. So there is a lot of things that I could personally do with this. How many people need two displays is a whole nother question. There are all these, like attaching two screens to the back of a laptop kind of things, which are great for what they are. But again, it's just, what can you use it for? And again, for media consumption, I wouldn't say this is any better than the Samsung, to be quite honest. It's a 2.8K display, so it's slightly bigger, but it's a smaller screen. So, density is better, but this is definitely not going to have as good a battery life because of the availability of the battery. Yeah, so 17-hour. It says up to 14 hours, and that's probably because, again, of the 13th gen i7 on there. But yeah, otherwise the specs are good for this one. I just don't know how much it's gonna be. It's heavier, 3.15 pounds. I want to say the Samsung is around 2 pounds. So, but yeah, honestly, this is cutting edge technology, great for those purposes. It just depends on what you're looking for. They're saying 2,100 for it. Yeah, you're paying a premium for new technology. That's the way it goes. All right, let's see. So, which one would I pick between those two? If you want newest technology and people saying, "Whoa, what is that?" Get the Yoga Book i9. It's a wow factor. It's a conversation starter, all that kind of stuff. If you're saying which one is the better media consumption device, I would still say the Samsung. Better productive device, the Yoga Book i9. Should be a segment. Any cool Mother's Day gifts you got planned? No, taking my wife and my mom. It's some restaurant like by over at the beach, so kind of like an ocean view. So yeah, that's all the Mother's Day kind of thing that I have planned, that I set up. It's always hard. Like I like to get tech gifts here and there, but it always kind of like, what else do I get, kind of thing like that. I usually just kind of say like, what do you need, and I'll get it for you tech wise. But also like, when you've been over 10 years together, you've pretty much bought every jewelry there is for your significant other. So yeah, I don't know. It's more like things like spa days, or I'll be the only parent needed for today, I think are the best gifts that I could do, kind of thing, most of the time. All right, let's see. Note 7 was the best. The Active Edge screen was amazing. I went back to the Note Edge till the Note 8 came out. Yeah, no, the Note series, the thing was, like, that legit killed Samsung's momentum. Like, the Note 7 was a turning point for a lot of people to go towards Samsung. Like, the Note 7 was legit. Like, I remember the anticipation, the hype behind that phone. It was like, this is going to be the best selling Samsung phone ever. Like, it was so hyped going into it. It was, and it was because iPhone had a I didn't do much year, so they didn't change much. They didn't do a lot that year with the iPhone at the time, which I think was the iPhone 8 at the time. But there just wasn't much done. So it was legit like a year like, oh, Samsung could really mess it up for them, kind of thing. But we didn't end up getting that. So yeah. It was like, in the world where the Note 7 would have done well, I think a lot would have changed, honestly. I think you could have had at least a postponement of Apple dominating as much as they did. Did you have netbooks in middle school? I did not. No, I was when netbooks came out for me. I was in college. I think I was. Um, or no, wait, was I? Yeah, I was in college. I think like netbooks coming out was literally like the end of my high school into college when netbooks started coming out. Um, because yeah, I think my second year of college was when netbooks peaked. And that's also because Windows Vista had come out, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. But yeah, I didn't really get too involved in netbooks, and no, schools didn't have them for sure. Well, at least in college level, netbooks were not good enough. I would say for most college experience, and they were more for like high school or middle school is where I would say netbooks were really kind of like niche to it. Basically, what a Chromebook is good for. I don't think you would go through college with a Chromebook, or at least I wouldn't recommend it. But I would say a Chromebook could definitely get you through middle school easily, and arguably high school. Arguably high school. I don't think you would need a PC, full PC, till then. But yeah. Oh yeah, Windows Vista. That was. Or am I confusing it? Maybe it wasn't Vista. Was that Vista or was that? Let's see. When did Vista come out? When did Windows Vista come out? Yeah. Uh so Vista came out, I would say right after then netbooks peaked. So I would say netbooks probably peaked. So Vista came out in 2007. I would probably say netbooks peaked around 2006 is when I would say netbooks probably peaked. And then Vista was a huge, just awful god mess. So yeah, that sounds about right. WinXP on netbook was the only way. I had Vista, not basic, as they say. Yeah, no, Vista, man, was that just a bad one. It was like Windows ME and Windows Vista, I still think were the worst ones of all time. Windows 8 was a misstep, but nowhere near as bad as. And they finally broke the cycle, right? Windows 10 and 11 were both good. Like there's been no issues with the Windows 11 update. I think if anything, Windows 11 has literally just improved everything Windows 10 had, in a really good way. So yeah, I would say it's been a good, clean update. But all right, guys, I think we're gonna be calling it a show. If you haven't already, please go ahead and check out the what do you call it? What was I thinking of? Go ahead and check out the Sony video that just went up on, I think it was Thursday. Honestly, probably the best looking video I have ever done. I would say it's the best looking one. Very proud of it. Very happy how it came out. So if you can, go ahead and take a look at it. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys always so much for watching. I will catch you guys next week. And yeah, we'll do more news and more topic and talk about more stuff. Thank you as always again. Make sure to hit that like, thumbs up before you leave. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy.